And we are live. What's up, guys? We have a special guest joining us today, Kenny KO. I've been, a fan of Kenny's content for quite a while now. If you guys are not familiar with him, he's more in the fitness space, but he's like basically the J-Mo of the fitness community. Uh, that reference will make sense like as we get into this. But basically, he does a lot of videos where he reviews various lifters and personas in the industry and breaks down okay whether they're real, whether they're bullshit, like what exactly they're doing. So somewhat similar to More Plates, More Dates. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Like his new content is definitely kind of the same type of thing.
For sure. All right, Kenny. So for anyone who's, not familiar with you and didn't understand my little intro, do you want to give like maybe a 1 minute like explanation of what exactly you do?
Yeah, I'll try to make it as easy to understand and quick as possible. Basically, when I first got into fitness, I was the classic like teenager, just getting into it, didn't really know much about anything, whether that was gear related, steroids, training, diet, anything like that. And I noticed just a lot of people telling lies about, they'd be making these crazy transformations in 2 weeks or pushing these incredible numbers after 2 weeks. And then I would ask them like, what they do. And they'd say, oh, I started taking creatine or like something just totally bullshit answer, So and then you apply that to like an even bigger audience or a bigger social media influencer or someone with a larger following. And it just multiplied to where they were just basically blatantly lying to their fans. So there was just this huge divide of people that were being honest and truthful with their audience. And no one was really doing that at that point. So I kind of felt the need to bring light to the situation.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who are not in the fitness community don't really realize how obnoxious the fake natty thing is. Like, I have a lot of friends, and they'll show me, they'll be like, yo, this guy's fucking jacked. And he says it's because of this workout program. Like, dude, this guy's on massive amounts of gear because you cannot be that vascular naturally. So in your opinion, how prevalent would you say the fake natty thing is?
I think it's starting to phase out at least a little bit from what I can tell, because when I first started back in the end of like 2017, it was really only me and I believe maybe like Vegan Gains doing natty or not type content. Like we were kind of the first two like doing that content. And then, I mean, now you have like Greg Doucette, More Plates, More Dates, myself still doing natty or nots here and there. I'm sure there's plenty of other social media influencers or YouTube content creators that are doing natty or nots now too. So I just think because there's more, I guess, like essentially detectives out there, that there's less like athletes or influencers inclined to claim natural because they know it's less likely that they'll get away with it.
Yeah, I mean, what if you had to put like a number on it? What percentage of jacked Instagram models or YouTubers are on gear, like roughly speaking?
Yeah, if we're talking like top tier, like huge followings, probably, I mean, this is going to be really a random number, but probably like 60, 70%. And honestly, the reason that majority, I don't think a lot of people know why they do it, but it's because most of them have sponsors. They don't run their own companies, either supplement clothing or whoever they're endorsed by, have somewhere in the contract where I already know like a lot of companies, obviously, if I was sponsored, wouldn't want me to talk about, taking trenbolone or testosterone or some steroid out there like in the world, because it looks bad on them as a company if they're sponsoring an athlete who's doing something that's technically illegal where they live, if that's the case. So that's the main reason I've noticed why a lot of these social media influencers tend to lie about it, or I guess lie or don't talk about it, is because they want to, continue to make their paycheck. I get why they do it, but I also see the other side of the coin where, they could just not acknowledge it or just not say that they're not natural. They don't necessarily have to talk about what they're taking exactly or what dosage, but just like avoid the question or just say that they're not natural. It's really that easy.
Yeah, I mean, I think another part of the issue is that as soon as someone says, yeah, I've been taking some testosterone, everyone will completely dismiss everything else. They'll dismiss their training. They'll dismiss their diet. It's like, oh, he's on TRT. It all makes sense. So they will attribute all the gains to the substance they're on, which is definitely a huge part of it. But, a lot of the top tier guys, they also work hard, right, in addition to
right. I mean, the dudes that look phenomenal, like on gear, also have like elite genetics. I don't think a lot of people give credit to like the actual diet and the genetics and the hard work, because I mean, I know there's probably a pretty solid portion of people out there who think that it's this magic pill, like you take it and you're just jacked. You can eat whatever you want, do whatever you want. You don't have to have good genetics or whatever. But really, I mean, honestly, natural guys look better than like even myself. If I was to take like a crazy hardcore cycle, I know guys naturally who could look better than me just because their genetics are like so much more elite than mine for bodybuilding.
Yeah, genetics are definitely a huge component. I've always had like ectomorph genetics. I've always been like extremely skinny. So right now, like I've been very public about this. I take TRT and HGH. I do like safe doses, doctor monitored. I don't do it for bodybuilding though. I do it to help with a neck injury I have, more for like the other benefits. But like,
I'm sorry to cut you off. That's another thing I've kind of noticed is obviously like TRT is kind of the trend right now. A lot of people talking about, TRT and it's becoming more available and people are starting to look into it more. But I think there's also this big misconception. Everyone thinks that TRT is like a crazy steroid cycle because I was on TRT for a couple of years as well. But I just came off like a month ago because I'm doing like a video experiment to see if I can even naturally bounce my levels back to where they would, work if I ever like took anything. So I've been having like super low energy levels, everything, but I'm going to document all that. So, but yeah, everyone thinks like TRT is this crazy like cycle that you're going to make all these crazy gains, but a lot of people don't realize it's like TRT is just like a natural level of where most men would be, like maybe in a normal or maybe a little bit above normal range.
Right. Yeah, if you're doing it the way it's supposed to be, because it's testosterone replacement therapy. So basically the goal is to put testosterone levels of that of a healthy 18-year-old athlete who eats a clean diet and gets 8 hours of sleep. But you're not going to super physiological levels. I mean, if you go to like, you do like 500 or whatever milligrams, I think it's testosterone a month or a week, you're going to get pretty fucking jacked.
Right.
Doctor recommended range. Yeah, I mean, it definitely makes a difference, but it's not a huge difference.
I mean, if you can find a doctor that can, prescribe 500 milligrams a week, shoot them my way because that's like
No, I don't know anyone who would do that. Yeah. They would probably lose their license pretty quick if they got caught.
Exactly.
It'd be like an instant license loss. But that's actually quite interesting. So, what is going to be your approach to bouncing back naturally? Like, what's your
so I had HCG, which is also like prescribed by the TRT clinic that I was using for my TRT. So I wasn't taking HCG at all. I definitely noticed like testicular atrophy, so like shrinking of my testicles or balls for the people that are watching that don't know what that is. Where honestly, there was times that this might be a little bit too graphic. I don't know what you allow like on.
It's a free for all.
Dude, like my balls got seriously so small that sometimes like when I'd be having sex, like they got pushed up like through my scrotum into my abdomen, and there'd be like this lump like in my groin area where I had to like push my testicle back down.
Oh my fucking god! The chick is like, "Oh, daddy, I want to play with your balls," and she's like, "Wait, where are your balls?"
Dude, they're like, I'm not even shitting you. They were like non-existent. Like pretty much. I'm trying to compare it to something, maybe like a jelly bean. Like it was real bad.
Dude, that's crazy because I've been on TRT for a few years now. I don't do HCG or anything like that, and I've experienced zero testicular shrinking because that's the one thing people always ask me. Oh, your ball's small now?
Well, that's probably good then because that probably means that your testicular like function is still going like pretty strong if you haven't noticed a change.
No, nothing at all.
Yeah, which is solid.
Were you?
Go ahead.
Were you just doing TRT or were you doing other stuff as well?
So I did my last bodybuilding show back in the end of 2018. And then that was like SARMs, taking like traditional cycles. So it might have been like 400, 500 milligrams a test. I forgot exactly what the steroids would have been. Just kind of experimenting, doing a bunch of stuff when I did the documentary with Generation Iron, Tony Huge and them in Sacramento. And then after the competing in the end of 2018, I was just doing TRT for like the last 2 years. And that was like just a regular dose TRT, nothing crazy, nothing super physiological. So, then that was pretty much it. Now I'm coming off. I've definitely noticed since I've been off because, I mean, obviously waiting for the esters of the testosterone to clear my system. I still felt normal after I stopped, but a couple weeks after is when you really start to notice that like it's, tapering off, and my testicular. I have to get blood work still to see where my levels are at right now, but I'll definitely see here soon.
Do you believe that you'll be able to naturally kind of get back to like a healthy range?
I don't know. That's the question. That's really. I hope so. I really do hope so. If not, I mean, obviously, I could just go back on like TRT, and that's fine. Because I think if you're going to go on TRT, it should be a commitment where you want to be on it, for life or at least for a long duration of time. Because the longer you're on it, the more your body kind of relies on it because I haven't been producing my own testosterone, if you think about it for the last couple of years. So I hope I'm able to bounce it back. We will see. I think it's also dependent on genetics, how good your genetics are at bouncing back. If you do the right PCT protocol, so, taking HCG, Clomid, Nova, even just like over-the-counter stuff to help like boost testosterone and get the function going in the testes again. So, yeah, we'll see.
Let me ask this question. What are the because a lot of guys, they want to boost their testosterone, but they don't want to commit to TRT. What are some natural things a guy can do to boost his testosterone?
I know a lot of them have tribulus, which is like, I'm not exactly sure what it consists of. I don't know if it's like a bark off a tree or what it is, but I know it's a like natural ingredient that's included in a lot of natural like PCT products just to like boost male like testosterone production and just overall count. So that's probably going to be, I believe, the most popular that you could get like over the counter.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so next question also kind of in this category. You said like when you were preparing for a show, when you're on gear, you're on a cycle, what does that feel like? Because I've had some people describe it to me as living hell because they said like you just don't feel that good. And some have described as, I was feeling great. What was it like for you?
I mean, it feels awesome, honestly. I mean, I have you run cycles or just TRT?
No, I never have.
Just TRT. Okay, so like, it's really hard to explain other than like when you're working out, you feel like Superman. Maybe not to like the extent where you're invincible and everything like that, but if you're taking the right stuff at the right dosage and not like abusing and just running yourself into the ground, like you're increasing libido, the numbers you push in the gym, seeing progress like nonstop. You essentially like feel like Superman. I want to like promote gear, steroids, like too much people that are watching. But obviously there's also negatives that come along with it, potential side effects, gyno, hair loss, acne, testicular like shutdown, pretty much kind of like what I've been going through. So
I mean, you look like you have a good head of hair besides the testicular stuff that you.
So that's where, the side effects are definitely all genetic based for the most part. So I like in my family genes, my dad's full head of hair, my mom's really thick hair. So I think I could honestly abuse like, let's say the hardest cycle out there, like DHT, super high, crazy high dosage of Winstrol or, some DHT steroid. And I would probably keep all of my hair. I've never experienced any hair loss. Mine has always been gyno, like it would go straight to my nips. Or I'd never experienced acne. So like my skin's always really clear no matter what steroid cycle I ran. But there's people who can be the complete opposite. They'll go like fully bald because they're prone to it and they might go bald at some point later on down the road and just speeds up the process. So there's just a lot of variables in it.
Yeah, it's fascinating how it's such a mind fuck. Because for me personally, like with testosterone, whenever I've got even like slightly above what, the recommended doses, like when I go 20% more, I get insane acne, like everywhere. Like my face just completely breaks out. As long as I stay in that, like whatever, let's say 150 milligrams a week range, then I'm totally clear. But if I go to 200, my face just breaks out like crazy.
Right. Yeah. See, so that's probably like what you're prone to. I don't know what else you'd be prone to. Maybe that's it. But yeah, it's just
I'm a long line of bald Russian men. So like my dad was bald, my mom's dad was bald, like everyone's bald in my family. I'm the only one that has hair.
I feel like a good way to know, maybe for the people that are watching that have never taken a cycle, if you notice you're already like prone to something, if you're starting to lose hair naturally or like progressing towards male pattern baldness, taking a steroid cycle is basically just going to speed up that process that much faster. Or if you're already still breaking out or you have like acne problems, it's just going to escalate that, make it worse. So just basically it's kind of whatever your body already has going on, it's just going to escalate it.
Yeah, I mean, kind of one last thing on this topic. I want to see like if you agree with this, but don't you feel like my feeling has always been like people either stigmatize like testosterone and performance enhancing drugs, like, oh, dude, you're less of a man if you do testosterone. Like it's the dumbest fucking argument ever. Or there's a small subsect of people who over glamorize it, like, yeah, gotta fucking get on gear, get hard, right? But the way I've always seen it is just a tool at your disposal. It's not right or wrong. It's just a tool. And it might make sense for your particular situation. Like, let's say you have naturally low testosterone. Then it might make sense. Or let's say you're young. I don't know if you ever saw that video about that 14-year-old kid who started taking steroids. I was watching that. I was like, oh, my fucking God. Dude, you barely have puberty yet.
That Derek put up?
Yeah.
I didn't watch it, but I've seen the video that you're talking about, or I saw it like on my YouTube feed. So
yeah, like for that kid, it was clearly like the wrong decision. Like, who knows where he would have been when he was 18? Like, but like 14 is insanity. So that's kind of
Bro, like in your teens, I mean, I know myself when I was a teenager, and I know because I get DMs every single day from like these teenagers asking me steroid questions. And I'm like, I know how impulsive I was as a teenager, like you want everything that day, that week. Like you want, obviously this chiseled, like crazy mid-20 physique in your early teens and to be the next superstar, the next David Lade, next Jeff Side, whoever. But it's like, just wait till you're like, you change your mind so much. I mean, I'm sure you can attest, like back when you were a teenager, like your mind goes back and forth so much between what you want. I bounce between wanting to take my first cycle versus not take a first cycle and stay natural, like back and forth until, I eventually did take one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I always had that in the back of my mind, like, it'd be cool to get jacked as fuck. But what made me actually get into testosterone was I got Lyme disease when I was, I got it first when I was 24, but then it rebounced when I was 28. And my natural testosterone levels went from being like 500, which they usually were, to like 250. Like, and I had like no free testosterone at all. So I was like, all right, well, like I have to first beat the Lyme disease and then hope my natural levels bounce back. So for anyone watching this who's wondering how I got into TRT, that was the reason.
That's actually crazy, bro. That used to be like number one fear of mine was Lyme's disease. I don't know. I know it's incredibly random because it's super rare, but that's actually crazy that you had that. I used to like have this phobia of ticks and everything because
I would not wish that on my worst enemies.
I've seen it like in a close friend, so like I've seen what it can do. So that's like crazy that you went through it.
Oh yeah, I mean, like when I was at my worst, I weigh 170 pounds now. 173. But when I was at my worst, I was like 128. Like I was literally. I'll put this picture in one of my YouTube videos. I was literally a walking stick. Like if the wind blew the wrong way, it would just blow me away.
Right.
Like you're in bad shape when your mom, who's like a skinny Russian woman, weighs more than you.
Right. Dude, I've just seen it absolutely destroy people. So like that, that was a number one phobia of mine. I remember that like years ago.
Yeah, it's super fucked. But so moving away from the gear, what about just in terms of training and fitness? Like if you could talk to your, let's say, 15-year-old self and give them, fitness or, lifting advice, what would you tell
them? Just have like diet and training priority, honestly, especially because I've noticed if you build a really strong foundation early on, it definitely carries over to later on in life. So if you start earlier, get your nutrition and your training, everything in check, your physique, like through your 20s, it's just going to be that much better. Versus if you start training, let's say like 21, 22, you already have such a leg up if you started training at like 14, 15 and like built a solid foundation. So that's probably what I would tell myself. And then also, honestly, I wouldn't have taken any of the crazy cycles that I took. I'm glad that I did because it was a life experience and, it taught me a lot. I've always been the type of individual where I would rather experience something myself and get my own opinion than just like read an article online, or read a forum, read studies, and kind of like see how I feel and put myself through it, kind of use myself as a lab rat. But I wouldn't have taken any of the crazy cycles, I guess, if I was to ever go back and just stay like the natural route. Maybe do TRT at some point if in blood work, I was running or I had low testosterone level or something like that. But other than that, just
what would be the specific reasons you would not do the cycles if you had to do it all over again?
Just because I did it for really vain reasons. I was honestly doing it just to like look good at the beach. I did a couple like men's physique shows, so it was to like compete. But my career, I'm not making money doing as a professional bodybuilder, competing or making money off of my physique or anything like that. So it was just a really vain reason to be taking these cycles and trying to build like this crazy physique for essentially no one, if that makes sense, just me trying to please myself. So, and then internally, you don't really know what you're doing unless you're doing like frequent blood work or you're really smart about what you're doing. Maybe you're like more plates, more dates, Derek, or you have a coach or someone has extensive knowledge in bodybuilding and supplements and, the steroids you're taking. But majority of people that are taking stuff aren't going to have that resource, and they're just going to be reading off a bodybuilding forum of what they're taking and totally jack themselves up internally. So that's where I'd say kind of like the number one thing would be either like have a really good coach or do your research and kind of know what you're doing.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of bad information out there.
Exactly.
My computer, hang on for 1 second, Kenny. I have to close the stream because my computer's spazzing out. 1 second, guys.
Yeah, no worries. Ooh, I just noticed the comment section over here. So let's see. Maybe while he's gone, I can answer some comments. Let's scroll up to the top.
All right.
Oh, no, we're good.
Yeah, sometimes my computer spazzes out. Let me just get this back on track. What are some specific mistakes you guys see guys making in the gym?
Definitely a form thing for sure. More so on deadlift than anything. I've seen so many like bad form deadlifts where I just watch it and I know an injury at some point, whether that's right then at that moment or later on down the road is going to happen. I injured my back when I was doing like football training, deadlifting, just like ego, trying to pull numbers and like, have the best record on the team or whatever. And I like definitely jacked my back up way back when. So like form on deadlifts is always huge. I also see a lot of people doing like these really like pointless workouts, like stuff.
The extreme isolation exercise, like my fucking pinky.
Yeah, dude, like that. I mean,
Girls.
especially if you go to like these big commercial gyms, maybe like a Planet Fitness. I'm sure you'd see plenty of like jacked up weird shit there, or any of the really big franchises. You're gonna see that stuff more so than like a hardcore bodybuilding gym, I'm sure. But yeah, there's just a lot of weird shit that happens in gyms.
Yeah, the form thing I was definitely guilty of. Probably still am to some small extent, but I was like hardcore guilty of that as of several years ago. Like I remember, I was like, my thing was squats. I just kept leveling up. I'm like, yeah, my legs are getting so strong. I'm doing this heavy weight. And then I had my buddy who's a personal trainer watch me do squats. He's like, dude, your form is atrocious. Then he showed me how to do squats, like deep squats, like the proper way. My weight pretty much dropped in half of what I could do. It was like insane. It was like the biggest ego fucking hit, ever. It's like I thought I was like really strong on squats, but now I'm like below average on squats. So, but yeah, I mean, but I did notice though when I was doing it with a complete correct form, even though the weight I was doing wasn't as heavy, like I got a whole new level of muscle soreness. Like I legitimately could not walk for 2-3 days.
Right. Dude, so that's the hard part is like the ego. You obviously no one wants to see the number go down, but like yeah, you get such a better workout when you have the good form. Because I was the same exact way. Like I'd be squatting and I'd like put 405 on at like 19, 20 years old, but my depth was like literally like nowhere even close to like parallel with the ground or 90 degrees. It was just
you're just going like 20 degrees, like you're just barely
it was
a squat.
like basically just like using your knees, like a little tilt and then a little pivot up. And I was like, oh man,
you're just standing with the weight, like you just got 400 pounds on your back.
Yeah, pretty much. And then I even remember like squatting when I'd go heavy. I even used like the pussy pad. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's like yeah, the pad you put on the bar. I was using that. Like I look back at some videos that are still on my phone. And I'm like, oh man, this is atrocious.
What are your thoughts on 1 rep maxes? Because my perspective has always been they're like an injury waiting to happen. Like if you can only lift the weight once, you're not really going to get any of the muscle building exercises. And if you can only lift it once, then the weight is probably too heavy. Do you think there's any validity to doing like 1 rep maxes, or is it just totally an ego thing?
Maybe if you're doing like powerlifting or that's like your main focus is like something to push like a crazy number. But other than that, I don't really see a point. I mean, do you watch Larry Wheels at all? Like his recent collab with Ryan Crowley? No. This dude, so they were just like incline benching extremely heavy, and then this Ryan Crowley guy got like the most severe pec tear I've ever seen, and that just happened like a couple weeks ago. So, and it can be like career-ending injuries, obviously. So, I don't know if it's worth it or not. I guess it really just depends, like if you're making money off of like powerlifting or pushing these potential, 1 rep maxes.
Yeah, that would be a different story. But for the vast majority of guys, I feel like it's an ego thing. I've just heard so many stories of people getting injured specifically when they're trying to do their 1 rep max. So like that will motivate me to never do one of those.
Right. Because it's like, I don't know, it's definitely an ego thing. It's like, who really cares, like how much you can, 1 rep a squat, 1 rep a bench, 1 rep.
No one. This is something that chicks don't get. Like when you talk to a girl, be like, you'll never go up to a girl and be like, yeah, babe, I can do a 1 rep. Like she does not know.
This is you really think the girl in the opening line is going to be like, so how much do you 1 rep bench, or like anything like that? All they're going to care about is how you look. Maybe if you look a bodybuilder, you look like you're into fitness or you have, a pretty decent physique. And even then, most of the girls that I've encountered or know like on a close level, they don't even like the severe like bodybuilder type because it's like too much. They like more like the aesthetic, just like well-conditioned looking physique more so anyway. So yeah, shit's funny.
They like the lean and muscular look. They don't like the super jacked bodybuilder look. Like chicks unanimously, except for like some gym chicks, but that's like less than 2%. They don't like that. Like, they just think the guy's overly bulky. They like more of like the James Bond, Daniel Craig looking Casino Royale.
Right. Yeah, exactly. They like just a little bit of condition into fitness, but nothing like too extreme. Unless you're talking like the hardcore bodybuilding chicks or the chicks that have the fetishes for like the super freak, like huge dude. Right. Other than that, yeah, I think a lot of guys would be shocked. And then, jumping back, of course, they don't even care about what your 1 rep number is.
No, they don't give a fuck. But to kind of change gears a little bit, you're a very successful YouTuber. You're at what, like 500,000 right now?
I think like just over 400,000, somewhere in that range. So somewhere between like 400, 500.
Goals. But so was there any specific thing that led you to taking it off on YouTube? Was just a consistency? Like, what do you attribute your success to YouTube to?
I think a lot of it was attributed to like original style content and then like consistent uploads. So, and what I mean is like there were still people doing like natty or nots like here and there, or questioning whether people were natural, and exposing diet plans, that type of stuff. Like that's been around since forever, but no one was doing the in-person. I think what set me apart was the in-person call outs. So like going to the fitness expos and like going face to face. Let's say you're like a fake natty. I would show up wherever you're at and be like, ask you if you're natural or not. And then, if you lied to my face, then I'd like call you out about it. And so no one was doing like the in-person style stuff. And I noticed that's what did like really well. Like most of my highest viewed videos were definitely like the in-person call out type stuff.
People love conflict and drama. And I think very few people have the balls to do that.
And I think a lot of people don't really like, me, Kenny KO versus like the actual Kenny, 2 very different people, but I try and please, obviously, my YouTube audience, which was built on like the conflict and the confrontation. It's kind of, if you think about it, like a reality TV show. So you have the Kardashians, you have Real World, you have all these MTV shows and whatnot, where it's drama. And there's a reason that it's drama is because it has high viewer retention. It has high click-through rate. People come back to watch it and they want to see like the end resolution. So you get higher view counts, you get higher salaries. Obviously, I did it from a business standpoint in order to continue to grow. And that's why, if we jump back to like More Plates, More Dates or Greg, they've been making videos like years longer than I have, but their initial like channel videos were just, informational, teaching about like diet cycles, that and that. But it doesn't gain a lot of traction or views. So then once they started to implement, the confrontational or like the drama related videos of the natty or nots or calling out people for this BS, the views just like skyrocket. But then you can also put a subliminal message into the video and teach while also making like, I guess, a drama related video. So there's definitely great marketing there. I think a lot of people don't really realize that a lot of it's strategic and business oriented.
I think some people might make the argument like, oh, why is he doing that? But I think like aside from the fact that it's good content, like I think something like that needs to be done. Like obviously you don't care about someone who's not you're not natty yourself. It's not like you go after people who are just on gear, right? You're going after people who are deliberately lying to their fan base for, financial gain. That's the reason they're doing it.
Correct.
Basically,
yeah, so like I mean, I've said it a couple times in videos, like I could care less. Like if someone takes, it's your body. You can take whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally, you could take any recreational drug. I don't recommend people do it, but like you can do whatever you want. It's your body, your life, do what you want, but just don't lie about it is like my thing. If someone's asking you for advice or how you built your physique and then you just go out and blatantly say I'm natural and, I take, 5 grams of creatine a day, then that's where like I have a problem. It's like, just be upfront and you don't have to tell them what you're taking, but just say that you're not natural and, the reasons why you decided that. And then it would just be that much easier.
Yeah. I think that it's even worse when you're doing it for financial gain. So like in the pickup industry, dating space, you have a lot of guys who are like pretending like they're players and, they're going out banging these chicks so they can sell their products. In reality, they're married to like fat chicks, right? Which again, if you want to marry a fat chick or any kind of chick, that's totally cool. Like I don't care who you marry, right? But if you're telling guys that, yeah, you're a massive player and you're going out and you're sleeping with all these 18-year-olds so they buy your product, when in reality, like that's really not the case, that's kind of when it becomes a little bit of an issue.
Oh, damn. I didn't actually know that was a thing. So they claim that they're like sleeping with all these girls and stuff, but they're not?
Yeah, dude, it's extremely common in the dating industry. Wow. Yeah. A lot of the coaches are actually married or secretly married.
Wow, that's actually crazy. Huh. Yeah. So is it, I assume most of it's like skit or not like skit, but like staged type stuff.
Well, the staged, not necessarily. The staged stuff does happen. That would take it to a whole new level. I mean, first of all, a lot of these guys, they don't even have videos of them talking to girls. And I'm not going to shit on that because I actually don't have any infield on my channel as well. But that's simply because I don't teach cold approach. I teach mainly online. And I do show plenty of proof of that. Like I have probably over 100 interactions from opener to the girl saying, that was so hot, daddy. You know, you see everything in between. So I show a lot of proof for that. I don't really teach cold approach, so I've never felt compelled to shoot infield videos. It would be a different story if that was like my forte. But yeah, so you have some guys who don't show anything at all. They don't have any kind of layer report. And then you have some guys who are doing like kind of trick photography. So you can go up to a girl and you kind of make her laugh for 30 seconds and then you cut it and then it looks like it was going well. But in reality, like 10 seconds later, the girl was like, I got to go. I have a boyfriend.
Right.
That part out. And I think anyone who knows, like if I'm watching those videos, I can tell with a high degree of accuracy if he actually hooked up with the girl or not. But I think someone who's new to this whole thing, they can't tell. They just saw the girl laughing. They saw, him talking to the girl. So like, okay, so he clearly hooked up with her.
Right. They just see all the highlights. I mean, that's just YouTube in general, Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of trickery and charlatans going on, in 2021. Let me ask you this question. Have you ever had any crazy shit happen as a result of the call-outs?
Probably the craziest. I haven't surprisingly, I would have thought just based on the content I make that in person more confrontation would happen, with the people coming towards me, not like vice versa, me confronting them, but maybe someone being pissed about a video I made and then coming up and confronting me and maybe swinging on me or, trying to get in my face. But really that hasn't happened. I guess the craziest thing would be maybe a couple lawsuits out of it for,
really?
Defamation, slander. Yeah. Cause obviously, if you put up a YouTube video, it's your content, you can, it's supposed to be opinion based. You say your opinion on whatever you want. And then that's that, a lot of the time I put out allegations and stuff. I know my content's more severe, but people didn't see a way of how to get the content taken down. And they didn't want to, at the time when I was more viral, getting higher view counts, they didn't want more people to see it or more eyes on the video. So their only real method was to push a lawsuit to basically be this is slander, defamation. If you don't take the video down, then we're going to pursue legal action.
Well, let me ask you this question. So you're making a video where you say this guy is not actually natty. He claims defamation, which implies that you lied about him. But would he then have to take a drug test to show that he was natural? Or how would he prove to the court that what you said was a lie?
I mean,
definitely a fucking show for the judge and flex. See, this is all natty, Your Honor. What's the process?
I mean, defamation, slander, honestly, from the standpoint of the person that's claiming that they got defamed or slandered is so hard to prove that I know a lot of the people that threaten the lawsuits or that actually start the lawsuits know they're not going to win, but it's kind of like a scare tactic, let's say you made a bad video on me that I'm not pleased with. The easiest thing for me to do rather than messaging you and pleading, hey, Alex, please take the video down. I don't like the way it looks. If I just have my lawyers email you a cease and desist and take the video down or legal action is going to be pursued, most people, especially if they don't have a big following, it's not going to be worth it to keep the video up to go into a potential lawsuit where you're spending thousands of dollars to defend, whatever video may be. So a lot of them know they're not going to win from the standpoint of the law and actually being defamed and slandered, but they just do it as a scare tactic because you can sue anyone over anything these days. You don't actually need a reason.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the problem is that also the big guys can really legally bully the small guys because sometimes quite often actually, it's not a matter of who's right, who's wrong. It's who has more money with these things and can just basically crush the other person. I had that issue with are you familiar with Seeking Arrangement?
I'm not.
It's basically a sugar daddy, sugar baby dating website. I mean, the whole premise is that it's for successful guys to date attractive younger women. In reality, it's like a form of prostitution, basically. It's and again, I have no problem with that. I don't care at all. What I was using Seeking Arrangement for is to actually, for real game, to hook up with these girls without paying them anything, right? And I was pretty successful at it. I mean, couldn't do that with every girl, but I did that quite often. And I made a YouTube video on that. So I have a pretty good track record of putting out videos that people like. Mm-hmm. That was the only video I've ever put out where I had more dislikes than likes. Basically, a bunch of sugar babies saw this video, shared it in their forums, And because they fucking hate that shit, because basically I'm teaching guys how
Right.
to get laid without paying for it, and these girls are hustlers, right? So they got really pissed at that. They were making some crazy accusations, like they were calling me a rapist, blah blah blah. I'm like, wait, so sleeping with a girl without paying her money is somehow equivalent to rape? Like, I don't understand the logic here. Like, but okay, so they were saying like really fucked up shit about me. They were sliding in my DMs and like harassing me and all that. I don't care about any of that. The problem is then the CEO of Seeking Arrangement sent me a cease and desist.
Oh, okay. So like no more videos.
Yeah, and they're a multi-million-dollar company. Like, I know that if it goes to court and I get a good lawyer, I'll win.
Right.
I don't want to spend $20,000-$50,000 on a lawyer.
Dude, my advice is, I mean, for you or like anyone that's watching, is like no lawsuit is honestly worth it, especially when it pertains to like video content or I could take any video on my channel. None of them looking back are worth the amount of money I invested into like attorneys and lawyers to defend that said video. Because honestly, what a lot of people don't realize is, let's say a lawsuit gets pushed for defamation, slander, they sue you. No one wins other than the attorneys on both like teams, because they're the only ones making money. Right. They're spending money on their legal counsel. You're spending money on your legal counsel. Eventually, it's probably not even going to go to court to where they, figure out who's right or wrong. It's just going to go to a settlement where you both settle on something that you don't even want. And then it's all this money you forked out of pocket just to settle for what none of you wanted. So it's a lose-lose for both parties.
Yeah. If you can reach an amicable resolution, that's the way to go. Like, actually, when I first launched my product, Tinder was going after me. But fortunately, the lawyer chick was really cool, and me and her like reached a deal. Like, after talking on the phone for half an hour, like they didn't have to spend money on suing me. I didn't have to spend money on defending myself. Like, both parties are more or less content. So yeah, like if you can do that, that's definitely the way to go. So you've never had any like crazy confrontations? So it'll be pretty chill. Like, people don't really freak out.
Yeah, surprisingly. Like, I thought for sure, I mean, like, knowing what I do and like the videos I make, even though, I would say, at least in my opinion, most of the people that I make videos on deserve it. Like, in some
way. But you don't do anything like, I've watched a good amount of your videos. You're not attacking people personally. You're just basically sticking to the facts. And maybe you throw in a few like one-liners and zingers in there, but like, I haven't seen you like personally go after anyone.
Right. I try and keep like the personal stuff out of it. I know there's been a couple of videos where like it related to a personal matter, but it was more so them just like being a shitty person. But yeah, like most of them really dig their own graves. Like, it's them either like selling a cookie cutter workout program or being a fake natty or, whatever scenario. So, but jumping back, I honestly thought with the type of content I made that in people's egos, that when they saw me, let's say at a fitness expo, that they would approach me and try and start some type of confrontation. But to be honest, most of the people, I don't know if it's just like a fitness industry type thing. They'll see me in person and they just kind of, I'll notice that they're like looking at me or glaring me down, but they'll never come up and say anything. They'll never start shit. So it was definitely not what I expected.
Yeah. I mean, I think part of it is also when you're accusing someone of something that they're actually guilty of, like they're going to be less likely to, because they're like, like they're going to deny it publicly, but privately they're like, like you call me out. Like, it is what it is.
And then also the other thing is I'm recording pretty much all the time, like when I'm out at those types of events. So I think kind of like what you just said, they don't want to like bring light to the situation and make themselves look bad. So because I would 100% be ready, like with my filming and whatnot. I guess jumping back though, I did have one guy at the event this last weekend, the opening of Dragon's Lair Gym. He came up to me and I guess he like DM'd me because I DM'd his chick or something like that. He came up to me at the gym and he's like, "Hey, Kenny, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Kenny KO?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's me." He's like, "Hey, I DM'd you. You DM my girl." And I was like, "Honestly, bro, I probably did." I was like, "My bad if I did. I didn't. I must have like looked through her profile, didn't see a guy on there. So, I apologize." But yeah, he wanted to like call me out about hitting on his girlfriend. But I was like, thinking in my head, it's not like my fault if a girl doesn't post their account, so it makes them look or appear as though they're single. Right. And then I'm just like doing my thing, being single, like DMing girls, and then that somehow comes back. I don't know.
Interesting. Well, actually, to complete change gears, have you found any strategy for Instagram that has worked well for you to meet girls? Like, what's your approach with IG, generally speaking?
Usually my pickup line is like something pertaining to like filming a YouTube video.
So you go under the radar.
I have the luxury of being like a YouTuber, at least. So rather than, I feel like most guys, classic opener line or something is like let me take you to dinner, just starting like small talk, like, hey, how are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. But yeah, mine's usually like, hey, let's film a YouTube like video sometime. And then like, it just kind of sparks a conversation from there. That's usually my go-to line.
Even if they're not YouTubers, they're just like a regular girl that's hot, you'll still use that?
Yeah, exactly. Because like I think most girls like, and I know obviously it's going to attract a lot of like clout seeker type girls, who are going to go out with you for the wrong reason. But if it's someone I'm interested in, I'll do it, because more times than not, people just want to do something fun, and a YouTube video, especially if they're not a YouTuber, it just kind of sounds like a fun time being on a video.
100%.
So.
Yeah, I've been able to get quite a few girls to do YouTube videos with me as well. I think the problem is my content is a lot more like, I understand it from a girl's perspective, because I tend to go for like women who have their shit together, like at least in terms of long-term stuff. And so these are chicks who have corporate jobs usually, and like like mine is very explicit dating type of stuff. And if her boss sees that, she could legitimately lose her job. So it's like a lot of girls want to do the video, but they're worried about retaliation from work. That's the number one reason that more girls don't do videos with me. It's like they want to, but they don't want to risk it. Versus I feel like your content is a lot more safe in terms of that. Like it's just fitness.
Well, kind of. There has been times where I reached out and then they'll look at my channel and they see like me doing all this confronting and exposing, and they're like, "Are you going to expose me?" They're like, because they don't know, like,
you're not famous. What the fuck am I going to expose you for?
Yeah, so they think like I'm going to expose them for some bullshit. I'm like, no, it's just like a vlog, regular content. But I've definitely had that where like they'll take a brief glance at my channel and see all the videos that pop up of me, being confrontational. So
yeah, I mean, I would say that the fact that you have close to 500,000 subs gives you a lot of like clout in that sense. Like, wow, he has 500,000. Like for better or for worse, that's a world we live in now where clout is a form of currency.
I guess, like I said, though, I mean, I don't know if that's good or bad. Maybe it attracts the wrong type of, females where, it's solely a number thing, or they want to see what they can gain out of it.
To some extent. What city are you in?
I'm in Las Vegas, so it's even more, like, egotistical or superficial.
Yeah, I'm in Miami, and it's probably the same exact problem.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, very, very,
Las Vegas, LA, those are probably the big offenders. To kind of change gears a bit, let me ask you this. So in terms of who would you say are the legit people in the fitness, in the fitness game, who would you say are the biggest offenders, in your opinion?
That's a good question. I'd say Athlete X most of the time from like an informational standpoint. I know he had his scandal like a few months back, or maybe it's almost been a year now. But
was it like the fake weights or what was this
fake weight thing? Yeah. Other than that, though, sorry, I have a tickle in my nose. I feel like he puts out like really good content most of the time, as far as like informational and educational. It's never like drama related or anything like that.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Probably the worst would be not Athletics. V-Shred, like V-Shred. So someone put up a pretty viral video. I've done a couple videos. There's numerous other content creators that have done videos on V-Shred and everything they've done, but they're just the classic like huge multi-million-dollar marketing company that's just like pushing this information and like pushing Facebook ads to grow their social media, but it's information that's not really that good, or they'll steal information. So V-Shred got exposed years ago for taking Athlete X's content and just reverbing it or remaking those videos in order to like get their viral videos on YouTube.
Oh, that's the worst. I've had people do that to me.
Yeah, so like, they'll change a few words here and there. They'll basically take the entire concept and then, just upload it as their own, which is what V-Shred's basically got exposed for a couple of years ago. Damn,
yeah, that's kind of fucked. Well, kind of on this topic, Connor Murhpy, what's the deal? Why is he drinking cum? Like, I know that I watched the video where you said like he hung out, you guys did some content together, and you're like, thank God you did not fucking bring this up when you were at my place. Like, there will be no fucking Divine protein shakes in my house. Dude. So, is this all just for show so you can drive traffic to his OnlyFans, or is he legitimately trying to drink cum, thinking it's gonna help him? Like, I don't fucking understand this shit.
I mean, shit, dude. It honestly could be a giant like skit still. But so my thing was like when I had Connor Murhpy come over to my house to film the video we did, I thought for sure it was going to be a skit because I knew Connor Murhpy back in like 2018 when he was, making his regular old style content versus like what he is now. And then I thought he was going to come over, and I know Connor always likes to go viral. He likes to be talked about.
Mhm.
So when he arrived, I was like, oh, it's going to be normal Connor. He's going to let me know that it's all a skit and everything, and then he's going to want to plan out some type of skit. But honestly, he arrived, bro, and he's all into the yoga, the ayahuasca.
Yeah, I saw the outfit he was wearing. I'm like, what?
Yeah, like very spiritual. So I tell people, like, for instance, we'd be talking and I'd be driving, and he'll just be like gazing off into the distance, kind of like meditating as we're talking or doing this sun gazing and everything, which is like cool. Like, if he's happy, that's great. That's all that really matters. But it's definitely not a skit for sure. Now, whether he's actually like drinking the cum and like drinking his own pee and his feet and eating his feces and whatnot, it's just
wait, that's he eats feces? I wasn't familiar with this. I thought it was just
that was his most recent stunt. So he started doing like the pee and the feces one recently.
Jesus fucking Christ.
But I did on my last video, I reviewed Backharm and Beva's OnlyFans, and then out of curiosity, I went to Connor's OnlyFans. And Connor's OnlyFans is definitely weird. So I mean, it could definitely be
like mass drinking cum.
I didn't see that, luckily, because I probably would have thrown up, bro. That would have been fucking like way too much to fucking handle. But it is some bizarre content for sure, at least for like what I'm used to seeing. And then who knows? I mean, he could be doing the skits, obviously, to drive more traffic to OnlyFans, because I assume that's probably his majority revenue now would be his OnlyFans subscription and his money off of there.
Without being too graphic, can you describe what you saw on that fateful night when you went on Connor's OnlyFans?
Let's see.
You start getting like PTSD and shit. Like,
honestly, because I'm pretty sure he has a free profile. Like you can subscribe to it for free, so it doesn't even like charge you. So I didn't think he was gonna have anything on there other than like doing the yoga stuff that we see on his Instagram. Mm-hmm. And then I started to like scroll down, and then I started to see his like dick a couple times.
Oh Jesus!
I was like, oh man, this is kind of weird. And then just because I know him too, like on a personal level, so like to see someone like their dick, it was just kind of like a weird thing. And then there was a couple
friendship.
There's a couple topless girls, naked girls, and then there was also like some intercourse like scenes with him and like another girl. But the videos were locked. Obviously, you had to pay for them, but you could see like the thumbnail of it of potentially what's going on.
Well, that actually doesn't sound nearly as bad as I was expecting. Like I thought it was going to be like.
No. Luckily, it's not him.
Level, he just does a shot.
Protein shake.
Level, he does like a fucking bottle of cum. If you pay him $100, he'll like bathe in cum. Like I don't know, like some crazy shit like that.
Imagine, bro.
Like, I was watching the video. This was an interesting video of when he was in your kitchen. And by the way, props on all the hot girls that were hanging out. How did you get those girls? By the way, were they like friends of yours or?
I've just always been really good with girls, man. To be honest, like. I feel like I'm very easy to talk to, and I'm pretty comfortable just like talking to girls. I don't get nervous or anything. And then as we talked about, like my opening line is usually like a YouTube related one. So, and being in Vegas, there's just a plethora of good looking, like pretty attractive girls. So it's kind of just makes for easy content.
Yeah, for sure. But anyway, so you guys were sitting in your kitchen, and you were like straight up, Connor, are you natty or not? And then I've never seen a man talk his way around an issue like that. Like this was some crazy fucking circular logic. Well, in theory, no one's natty or not natty. And I was like, what the fuck am I watching? So in the end, I didn't watch the whole thing. I'll be honest, it's long as fuck. But in the end, did he finally say, you know what? This is what I take. Or was he kind of more like going circles?
So he opened up about taking, I forgot. He takes one compound for his hair loss, which
finasteride?
Yeah, finasteride. Sorry, I was doing. Yeah, he's taking finasteride, which he brought up as a potential, supplement or steroid in question,
which does absolutely nothing. No one thinks that's a steroid,
right? So his logic was that it actually took away from his physique and made it not as good. So then he jumps on to they took Ostarine very shortly, a SARM.
I've done that, yeah.
And then also MK677. So
I've done that one too.
So, and those were kind of the three things I talked about, at least in the video with me. But he also claims that, finasteride took away from his physique and that he took the Ostarine and the MK677 to kind of like combat that. And he only did it for a really short duration of time, and that his physique was better naturally before he ever took the like MK677 and Ostarine and stuff like that. But
What's your perspective? You think he actually did I mean, he's got to have, when he was at his peak, most jacked, he was just too vascular to be natty.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you look at his before pictures when he was doing his Omegle reaction stuff, picking up girls on in the cams and going out on the street and picking up girls, he was just so much more jacked. It's just hard to believe. Now he did a 40-day fast, which obviously caused him to lose quite a bit of muscle and everything there, but I don't think he was natural before now, to be honest. Just based on the way his physique looks now versus how he used to look, it's pretty severe.
Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, one more question before we take Q&A from the audience. I kind of want to ask this since you brought this up a few times. Before you had the YouTube channel, what was your approach for picking up girls? What was your strategy, your go-to?
So luckily, I've always had careers that are really easy for that. So because I was a firefighter for 2 years before starting YouTube, so then take my YouTube line, but now apply that to firefighting. I basically just my opening line was always something pertaining to working the fire or being at my job firefighting, or if it was in a DM or a message, or a dating app, like Tinder, Bumble, or Hinge, one of the dating apps. Obviously, I'd have firefighting pics or in my uniform and whatnot. So I feel that was really good at picking up girls for sure. And I always kept it really basic. I would never really use a pickup line and stuff. That really wasn't my style. I would just kind of start a conversation and then just kind of see how it progressed and went from there.
Have you had a lot of success with cold Instagram DMs, DMing girls who you don't know in real life and getting them out?
Yeah, I feel it's harder now just because obviously the pandemic and whatnot, everyone's more introverted, I feel than they used to be, and there's just not as much going on. But I feel I had a pretty high success rate. The problem with me though is I'm a very independent person. I hate to waste money. So going on dates and whatnot, I'm the classic guy where I'll probably reach out in the DM and then I'll try and convince them to come over and just hang out at my house. Because
dude, that's one of the biggest things I teach on my channel. Straight to the house wine dates.
Yeah, that dude, that's my thing too. See, same thing, wine. That's always how I get them is the wine. But
do you like wine? Oh yes, good. We should split a bottle on my romantic balcony.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of been my go-to thing because I always say screw going out to dinner. Most of the time, especially in Vegas, I don't know how it is in Miami, but a lot of the girls there too are they just want to go out for a free dinner. They actually don't even care about a date. They just want to actually get a free meal and free kind of experience out of it. So I'd just rather not waste the money. And if it's someone I'm actually interested in, I'll try and convince them to come over.
Yeah. Also, a lot of girls, they will almost separate guys in two different categories. So I've had multiple situations where a girl comes to my place and, after we bang, I find out that before coming over, she went on a dinner date with some guy and she gave him a kiss on the cheek. I was well, why didn't you sleep with him? And she's oh, I don't know. He's just a nice guy who wanted to buy me dinner. I was no, that guy wanted to bang you. Guarantee it. That guy didn't just want to buy you dinner. He wanted to bang you.
Yeah.
So why did you
buy you dinner,
Yeah.
Totally.
So fascinating. So I think that I'll go to dinner with girls who I'm already seeing, but I'll never go out to dinner with a new girl who I just met.
Dude, so and basically what kind of instilled that even more into me. I don't know how it is in Miami, but I'll kind of tell the story first. So I go out to dinner with a girl to a pretty nice place, get drinks. The bill comes $150. We part ways for the night. I go home. I get a text from her, and then she shoots me some line, something saying, "Hey, so you're aware I'm a guy, right?"
The fuck?
I had absolutely no fucking clue. No red flags, nothing. Must be the best surgeries I've ever seen, or just genetics to look extremely feminine. But yeah, I went on a date with a dude. Had no idea. Spent $150
Easy.
on dinner and drinks.
Was she tall or she, whatever?
5'8". So, it's taller for a female, but it's nothing a 6'2" or, above 6 foot where you're holy shit, this person's a giant. And there's no deep voice, super feminine face, boob job, everything. I was thoroughly convinced. So then, just to make it that much further, make myself feel better, the next day I showed my roommate. And I was yo, what do you think about this girl? And he's yeah, she's hot. She's attractive. And I was it's a dude. So
yeah, I'll do that all the time. I'll troll my friends. So we have a group chat. And if I see a chick who looks hot on Tinder, but then says TS, I'll take a screenshot. I'll post in the group chat. What would you guys rate? like, oh, dude, she's a stunner. She's not. And I'm like, oh, great. I'm glad you like dudes.
Dude, and I mean, because also I was just so baffled and fooled. Like, honestly, when she sent that message, I was just so shocked because I remembered we were even talking about like kids and whatnot. And she was talking about wanting kids. So I was like, how the fuck? So because it was like post-op, post-surgery, like everything had been removed, and I guess everything's like functioning. But I was just like, dude, this is bizarre. So long story short, that pretty much instilled in me like even more so. I was like, yeah, that was like $150 that I spent to go on a date with a dude.
But bro, think about how much worse it would have been if you did a straight to the house date and you started hooking up. At least you only got fleeced for $150, instead of like banging a tranny potentially.
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't really think about that. That's a good point. Yeah, so maybe it is better that way. I don't know.
Yeah, the story I have kind of in that genre. So me and my buddy, this was like ages ago when I was like kind of just getting into game, like 24. I got invited to the swinger party, right? I didn't really have any girls that I was like I could bring, and like I didn't want to go by myself, so I brought like one of my really good friends, right? So we go to the swinger party, and like it's exactly like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Like it's mostly older people. There were some hot girls there, like there's definitely some hotties, but the ratio was horrible. It's like 4 dudes for every chick. I later learned that there's different levels of swinger parties, and actually some swinger parties where the ratio is really good. And I want to go into a few of those later on. But so anyway, so this is kind of like a more skeevy swinger party, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we get there, and me and my buddy are just in the kitchen drinking beers. I'm like, fuck, if I'm going to hang out with these old people, I need to get drunk. And so then a very nice, tranny comes up to us, and to me, it's like really obvious. Like also probably post-op, but like with that one, it was just super obvious to me. And she starts shooting the shit with us. Like, dude, I have like nothing against like trannies at all. Like I'll happily talk to them. I'm just not going to sleep with them, right? So I'm shooting the shit, and then she says, "Oh, so you guys want a tour of the house?" So I kind of figured out tour of the house means sex, right? So I'm like, "Oh, no, thank you. I'm just going to hang out here," right? My buddy, he's like this Persian guy. He's like, "Okay, tour of house sounds good." But the thing is, I thought that because he's legitimately like really into architecture, like I thought that he legitimately just wanted to see the rest of the house because that's kind of like his personality. Like I just thought it was so obvious that was a dude, and my buddy just wants a tour of the house. I didn't have any like polite way of telling him like, yo, that's actually a dude. I just figured he knew that. And then he disappears for like an hour, and I get really sidetracked because I want to bang this dude's wife, and that was like the whole thing in of itself. So this is back when he used to smoke cigarettes. So I'm outside, I'm smoking a cigarette. My buddy comes out with the biggest smile on his face. He's like, Habibi, you should have come. Tour of the house actually meant sex.
Oh, no.
I was like, who did you bang? He's like, the hot girl with big tits. I was like, you mean the dude? He's like, no, not dude. It was, it was kind of weird. She only wanted in butt. And then I just watch his reality just crash. Like he goes from being super stoked to being insanely depressed in under 30 seconds. I watched a grown man just break down right in front of me.
Oh, I bet. That's like the most – I mean, it's one thing if you know going into it, obviously it's your choice and whatnot. But, yeah, to not know, I feel like that would be kind of crushing, especially if that's something that someone's just totally not into.
Yeah.
Because I know plenty of people, too, that are like close friends of mine that are all about the lady boy stuff. Like – not my cup of tea, which is totally fine. Everyone has, whatever interest they're into. But yeah, I have a couple friends that are like totally about that.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into some questions. We just went on a tranny rant for like 10 minutes. Hey, Alex, I enjoy the format of videos. One of my favorite channels does this. They also publish 5-10 minute video. Yeah, so we're definitely going to do this. Take like key things from the interview. Okay, this is slightly unrelated, but thoughts on hooking up with an ex-fuck buddy who ditched you for a relationship with another guy. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, you might as well because it was a fuck buddy at one point. So what's the problem in starting a fuck like buddy situation again,
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, if it was like a girlfriend that you were in a serious relationship with, then that could possibly be a bad idea. But yeah, I mean, it's just a fuck buddy. So someone asked Athlete X. So we touched on this a little bit. But so you feel like he's pretty legit, right?
Just opinion. Yeah, I think he puts out good information. I mean, obviously, aside from that scandal, I think everything they put out is pretty legit, like pretty smart. And
what? So did he actually get caught doing fake weights, or was that just like people?
Yeah, for sure. It was obvious, but I mean, I also get why he was doing it because he does informational, instructional videos. teaching people, for instance, how to deadlift. So he wants to make it look good. So he might have fake plates on to make it look like 405 or something, when in reality, it's a fraction of that. But he wants to demonstrate, with good form, showing people how to do it. So it's kind of all like, if you were to see a commercial online, you're not going to see someone just deadlifting a bar. You're going to see them lifting like some crazy weight, but just because it makes it look better.
Right. How was that proved though that it was fake weights? Like, how does someone prove that?
I think just like the amount of ease that he was doing it. If I remember right, it was a bench press clip and then a deadlift video where he was just like pushing these numbers absolutely like crazy, like super easy for him. And he's never been able to like do it since. So I'm pretty sure like that was the main reason. And I'm pretty sure also like Jeff Cavalier, he talked about it and then he didn't like deny it or anything. So it's pretty sure concrete.
You think he's natty? I mean, to me, he looks pretty natty. Like, he doesn't look like he takes gear.
I think so. Probably like TRT just because his age and whatnot. Yeah. He's in his 40s or something like that. But maybe in 50s now. I'm not really sure how old Jeff is. But just a really diced physique. But he's also super smart. He's been doing it forever. Nothing like crazy bodybuilder. And I'm sure he also looks different in person. A lot of people are probably judging him based off of how he looks in videos and pictures, when he's all jacked up, like with a pump and oiled up and everything. But I think he's natural aside from like TRT.
I think it's understated how much of a difference a pump and good lighting can make. It can make you look between like kind of muscular to jacked as fuck.
Oh yeah. Dude, I can make myself look like 3 times better just like at the gym with the right lighting, like 100%, where people will think you're like back on cycle, or something.
Yeah. Lighting is huge. When you get that like overhead lighting when it's hitting your muscles and it's not too bright, not too dull, like that can make a huge difference. And if it's like right after workout, like your muscles look a lot bigger, like in that moment.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
All right. Someone asked about Chris Heria.
Calisthenic king. He had some drama like a couple of years ago. I haven't talked to him for a little while. He seems to be a pretty good dude though. In the calisthenic world, I'm not too familiar with that world, but I know a lot of people like him, and he's like crazy good at calisthenics.
Someone asks, from where to get TRT in India though? Can I get online from another country? Someone named Giga Chad. I don't know anything about that, to be honest. I have a buddy who lives in India, and what he told me is that actually in India you don't need a prescription.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't gear like legal in India?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like, you just get a pharmacy. Personally, I would never do anything that you just buy on a sketchy website online. I would only do it from a pharmacy like this. But that's just me.
Yeah, I'd avoid online. I used to buy online back when I did my cycles and I got gnarly infections. But I'm pretty sure it's got to be similar to like when I went to Mexico. You can just buy everything over the counter.
Oh yeah, 100%. Mexico. Yeah.
So I've heard India it's legal there, so I don't know why you'd need to.
Yeah, that's what I heard as well. So yeah, look into that, man. See if you can just buy at a pharmacy, so you don't have to go online. Interesting question. Do your rotation girls fall in love with you? How do you successfully manage her expectations? I recently had a girl call things off because she developed strong feelings. I didn't want to get hurt. So have you experienced something like this, Kenny? Like a girl you're casually seeing with winds up falling in love with you and then kind of ruins the dynamic?
I think inevitably that just happens with every like fuck buddy or every type of like rotation thing like that. Like someone eventually catches feelings for either like guy or girl. So I've had it happen, and then it's kind of because it ruins the whole dynamic and makes it like really tough. So you either like cut things off or like it just doesn't progress any further.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it will happen. I think you can significantly push back when it happens. Like you can go like a year without that happening. I think the one way to avoid that is to set very clear expectations, which is not even something I do. But like if you and the girl like, hey, we're fuck buddies, we have a great thing going, we fuck, we laugh, and we both don't want anything more. And that's like a spoken agreement, then that kind of can prevent the problem.
Right.
At least that's kind of been my take. Interesting question. Do you think people like The Rock or WWE stars take steroids? So I personally think yes, but I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I mean, you have to look, it's all for like show for an audience, viewership, both in person and, through the TV or online. So they have a certain look to uphold. Definitely like John Cena, The Rock, everyone, for sure. Like that's got to be actually probably more prevalent in that than majority of like other careers.
Yeah, that's not to take away from like
one that would maybe have more steroid usage would be like the professional bodybuilding world. But like next on my list, I'd probably say is probably WWE.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, that's not to take away from, The Rock and his work ethic. Like, I heard that guy trains like a beast, like 4 a.m. He's doing like these crazy workouts.
Right.
So it's like if he didn't train and just did TRT, he wouldn't look like the way he looks. But if he just trained and didn't do TRT, he would also not look the way he looks. So
right,
I think both are important. So this guy says I've been in 90 milligrams TRT a week. That's crazy. I mean, I would figure that at 90 milligrams you'd be like actually worse off than what you would do naturally. But everyone has different bodies. I would say the big thing is just do some lab testing and see, like, are you in the optimal range with 90 milligrams? If you are, that's great. Don't go up. Yeah, that's interesting. But everyone has different bodies.
Yeah, I would say just like blood work, see where you're at, where you want to be.
Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, it's more important to look at the free testosterone than the total testosterone. Total testosterone at the end of the day doesn't really matter that much. So with the free testosterone, you just want to be in like that upper end of the normal range. You don't want to be like too high above that. Hey guys, I'm 42, want to get back in the gym, especially work, legs and glutes, put some muscle. Should I seek a legit trainer and how do I find one? Good question.
I would say, I mean, yeah, definitely. If you don't know anything, then a trainer is always a good route. Or, I mean, the great part about YouTube and online is there's so much like information readily available now that you can kind of like learn everything you need to online or on social media. At least from the good ones, obviously.
That's the big problem. There's so much bad.
Like exposed scam artists, but yeah, or just get a trainer, if you want someone to formulate your diet and your workout plan and everything for you.
I think another problem is some trainers are worse than the YouTubers. Like there's some trainers who I've seen give horrible advice.
Right.
My whole take is like, if you're going to learn fitness, like pick a guy who's in really good shape. So like, if I want to get advice on money and finance, I'm not going to get advice from a homeless guy, right? I'm going to pick a guy who's, a multimillionaire. If I want to get advice on dating, it's going to be a guy who's, been with a lot of girls and has shown proof of that. And I would say the same thing with fitness. Like, I'm not going to get advice from a guy who's skinnier than me, right? Like, it just wouldn't make sense.
Right. No, definitely. Apply it to, whatever facet.
Okay, this is another question. Kenny, what are a few things to keep the belly fat to the minimum without having to go to the gym if I'm not into gymming? Oh, man.
Caloric deficit, I'd say mostly. I mean, really just being like having – everyone has a six-pack. Like everyone has the muscles, but obviously there's layers of fat and everything and water like covering that. So if you're in a caloric deficit, you're going to lose weight. So that's why you'll see like skinny guys still have a six-pack even though they don't have a shit ton of muscle. It's just because like it's still there. So if you're focused on belly fat, it's just being in a caloric deficit or being active, to keep your metabolism going. But it's going to be, I mean, if you're not going to the gym, I don't really know what the point would be. But
yeah, one easy way I recently discovered to train core that actually works really well for me is to get a Bosu ball and then you just sit at the edge and you kind of like that works your abs like crazy in 30 seconds. If you can do like most people can't even do 10 seconds of that. I did this experiment with my roommates. So you get to a point where you can do a minute like that. It's the whole workout's less than 5 minutes. You do it from your house, but like that will hit core pretty hard. All right, let's take a few more questions. Okay, a lot of these are just like kind of obvious. So I'm going to skip the easy ones. I want to get some good shit. Someone literally asked, you have to change the format where you pick the best questions. Yeah, I mean, I just kind of try to scroll through it and, pick out the good ones. Look at this. I thought Kenny KO was bald this whole time because he always wears a hat. He's got good hair. Wow.
That's actually, you're not wrong. I do wear a hat a lot.
I have seen that.
Either like a beanie or a hat. I just like the look of it. I think it just like looks good. I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, my hairline. I'm super self-conscious. I'll do it for the video, but like, let me make sure I can. So I have like a widow's. Is it called widow's peak or whatever, where it like comes down? You know what I'm saying? like goes up really high. Luckily, I have more hair now, so I can just kind of like push that part down. But that's always
man. I mean, I can't really relate to that because I do have some hair loss. So my hair situation, like I would kill to have your hair, basically.
But so like I've always had the same hairline, so it's always been like up here, and then like my hair comes down. But I used to hate that because I used to rock like the buzz cut all the time. But now that I have more hair, I just do that. But yeah, I just wear a hat and beanie most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's also a lot. I've made a video on this. There's a lot of things you can do aside from a hair transplant to prevent, if not possibly reverse, hair loss. Like my hair, let's say 4 years ago, was a lot worse than it is now. And that was even before I started TRT. And that's just because I spent so much time and energy on my hair. Like I do derma rolling once a week. I do Rogaine, obviously that's an easy one. Take saw palmetto. I did several rounds of PRP, which is super fucking painful, but that shit works.
I feel like you could rock the bald look though. It looks like you got like a pretty solid like face shape for it and everything. You know, some people I feel like could not rock the bald, but it just depends.
I probably could. I would never want to. Like I'm very vain when it comes to my hair. Like I could. It's like a part of my personality, part of who I am. Like my little blonde curls. So I feel like that would be like a major ego hit for me. Let's take like one or two more questions. Yo, Alex, can you give any advice on how to use Seeking A, or should I ask this on the forum? Yeah, make a post in the forums. I mean, I don't want to get too publicly into that simply because one, it's not something I've done in years, and two, the whole situation with with the CEO. But the basic premise is that you're putting on like your millionaire hats, right? So you're putting on your millionaire hat, you're acting how a millionaire would act, right? And you also want to screen out the girls who are just the hardcore prostitutes. So the chicks who are on there just, to get a payday, you want to screen those out. Fortunately, they'll make themselves known very quickly because they'll be like, so how much will you give me if I come over? Like if a girl says that, next. But there's also a lot of girls on Seeking Arrangement who are actually not there primarily to get money. They're on there because they want to have like a experience with an older, dominant man. And there's also some chicks on there because they want to date a successful guy. They're like, yeah, Tinder's all losers. I want to date a guy who has his shit together. But she doesn't necessarily want money from the guy. So I think there's all kinds of girls on there. For sure, there's a lot of girls who just want money. But I think that once you screen those out, you can do pretty well on there. All right, so let's set it off on this question. We kind of covered this extensively, but what do you think about Connor Murphy's last diet consisting of divine shake?
I still don't know if he actually did it or not. I hope he didn't, but yeah, disgusting. Like, dude. I mean, I said this in my video. Like, I don't care what benefit it would ever give me. Like, ingesting your own or someone else's semen is just like a line you don't cross.
Yeah, I feel like someone else's is much worse. Like,
even your own. Like, can you imagine like, jizzing in a cup and then like you just drink it?
I mean, that's what I call a Sunday night. That's like
yeah.
I would never do that. But like kind of your point, the point you made is like, I don't care if it gave me 15 pounds of lean muscle mass. I wouldn't do it. And so like, if like, I would never do anyone else's for like any reason, right? But like, let's say I had some kind of whatever condition. Like, let's say that if I did my own once, like I would never lose hair. I'd be guaranteed against ever losing hair. Like that would be food for thought, So it's like, I don't know, kind of getting into like a weird tangent here, but like,
I just imagine, risk versus reward. If the reward's worth it enough, then I'm pretty sure people would do anything.
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of what I was curious about is like he said he DM'd that guy. What was his opener? Like, hey man, can I drink your milk?
I was curious about. Yeah, I was legit like, how do you open like that line?
Yeah, what do you say? Yo, dude, you look like a guy who has some like potent semen.
Like, hey bro, I have a video idea. Yeah, what is it? Well, you look like you have a pretty hefty load. And I'm trying to drink some semen for my video. Like, what? I just don't even know how. I actually want him to send me that chat convo so I can see like how that took place.
Yeah, that would be interesting. What would have been your reaction if he DM'd you that?
Oh, I mean, I'm pretty sure I even said in my video, I was like, I would not have like actually done the collab. Had that happened like before, I'm so glad that took place after me and Connor did like our filming event of the natty or not and whatnot, and he saved that topic for after with Dominic or whatever his name was. But yeah, that shit was just like way too extreme. And I even tell people like in person that have asked me that know or like have heard of the Connor scenario. I was like, let's say best case scenario, Connor like did it all for views and didn't even drink it, he still put the concept or the idea out there that he did. So people are still going to perceive that he drank another man's semen. Regardless if he did or not.
There's also going to be dozens and dozens of retards who are going to be like, oh, well, if it's for health, and they're going to like go up to their best friend and be like, hey, bro, can you jerk off in a cup? And like just get like knocked out, like, you know, like maybe in some like Middle Eastern country where that's like, you know, heavily whatever, like you can't even do any gay shit. Like they're going to, hey, Habibi, you want to jerk off into cup? And then like next thing you know, they're getting beheaded or something like that. Like there's because he's a popular figure. He has like 2 million subs. There's going to be, you know, a small percentage of his audience that is not going to use critical thinking and just blindly follow what he says. We have the same problem in the dating space. You know, I'm not sure if you're familiar with a company called RSD, but for a while they were encouraging something called the claw. So this is basically when you see a cute girl and you just, instead of saying hi, you just kind of grab her and pull her in. Now, if you have good game and you're very suave, it's the right setting, that can work. I've actually personally done that myself with success. The problem is most of the guys who are doing this, they're socially awkward, they're kind of fidgety, and when they do that, they're going to get slapped in the face or even possibly like have the police called on them. So like you have issues like that. So like a lot of people, they just blindly follow the people who they look up to instead of kind of evaluating like, okay, does this kind of make sense or is this something that, you know, I probably should not do?
Right. Damn, yeah. See? Yeah. It can be applied to everything, right?
Dude, I feel like you would get a kick out of the whole dating community. Like I feel like you could have a field day with exposing people here.
That would be a lot of fun, to be honest. The only dating one I remember back in the day is who was like that most popular one? It was like, was it called Simple something?
Simple Pickup. Was
that it? Yeah. I remember like a really popular one. I remember I watched them back when I was like a teenager or something like that. But that was kind of the last like YouTube dating type thing I've ever watched.
Yeah, I mean, I can't hate on them too much because their early videos were very entertaining. Like, I will give them that. Their content was extremely entertaining.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it was more of like when I don't know if you know this, but when they split up, and the story there is really, really weird. I can't confirm this, but I've heard from multiple sources that basically the Asian guy and the Indian guy, they had a company together. They started their own brand. The Indian guy, Jesse, he had a girlfriend. And then the girlfriend hooked up with his business partner, the Asian guy. And then she left him for the Asian guy. And then their partnership fell apart, which to me is like really fucking crazy because I don't care if my business partner had a perfect 10. I still would not hook up with her. Like, first of all, you know, I would not hook up to a friend or coworker. But secondly, like, they were making millions of dollars. Like, why would you jeopardize that relationship over one girl? So to me, that's like really fucking crazy. It shows like kind of the fact that they're probably not in abundance. Because if they were, like if they had dozens of girls, they would not need to do that. Like, why would you need to hook up with your business partner's exclusive girlfriend? Like, it just makes no sense to me.
I always wondered, like, why the people, like, make that decision, like, to sleep with, like, a buddy or a business partner's girl. Because, I mean, even let's say if she's a 10 out of 10, there's so many other 10s in the planet. Like why that one to jeopardize everything you've built or, like, the potential revenue and everything you're losing from it?
I think it comes from two places. It could be any number of these two reasons or a combination of them. The first one is jealousy. They're secretly jealous of their body, and they're like, oh, you know, he has a hot girl. Like, I want to get her, right? But they're kind of in denial about it. And then when they get the opportunity, they basically jealousy outweighs whatever loyalty they feel to their friend. I think the second reason is scarcity. A lot of guys are in scarcity, like they haven't been laid in a year, and then their buddies' girlfriend throws herself at the guy one night when they've been drinking, and they're like, yeah, I haven't been late in a while, which is like the ironic thing. Like, some people make the joke like, oh, I don't know if I should bring my girlfriend around you, Alex, because you're gonna like steal her away from me. But reality, your girlfriend is probably the safest with me than she is with most guys, because I'm not gonna try to take your girlfriend. Like, right. I have no desire. Like, I have many girls I can talk to. I don't need to take someone's girlfriend. Versus a guy who like hasn't been laid in a while, like it's more likely to happen, at least in my opinion.
Right.
Oh, let's take this one last question. What's the most fake natty in the industry? Myco Trend ?
He's probably the longest lasting or the oldest one for sure. Probably the most talked about as well. I mean, Mike still claims natural, and he's been.
I mean, his last name is Trent, for God's sakes.
Normally it's Mike O'Hearn, but So, I mean, and he's probably one of the most jacked too that's in question. And he's been in the industry, I'm pretty sure, the longest. So I would say he probably is like the biggest like fake natty in the industry. Probably another like really big controversial ones could easily be like Jeff Side or David Lade. A lot of people like are, controversial about whether they're natural or not.
There's no way David Laird can be natty. I mean, like unless he has the best genetics in the world.
Right.
At least in my opinion.
I mean, the thing is, too, in person, he's a lot smaller than like you would think.
Okay.
Like it's definitely a lot of video and photo manipulation to make David look like as extreme as he does. But he's incredibly lean and everything. Gotcha. But I also don't think he was natural when he had this like series or segment where he's pushing like these PRs like every single day or every single week for weeks on end.
What's the PR?
Like a personal record. Like, like his bench press was going up like day by day. His squat, his deadlift, everything was just going up. Like, and he wasn't hitting plateaus or anything where it would stop. It just like kept skyrocketing. So that was pretty evident, especially with how long he's been training, that he started taking. I assumed probably SARMs or something would be my guess.
Let me actually end it off with this question: how important do you think fitness is to getting girls, from your experience and your opinion?
Honestly, not that important.
Really?
I think like girls are more attracted to a confident guy that, maybe takes care of himself. So not like a fat slob or something like that, but, a guy that is physically active or likes to take care of himself and has like good hygiene and everything like that is going to be more attractive to a girl, and who's self-confident than any like crazy bodybuilder that's out there with, their body dysmorphia and like lack of self-confidence.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that when you go to that point, you're actually losing points with girls. Kind of like my experience has been like, I got into pickup when I was 20, 21. Started getting laid consistently when I was like 23. And at 23, 24, 25, I was super skinny. I was like 140 pounds. Now I'm like 172. I'm not super jacked at all. Like I have like I'm definitely not going to be making fitness content anytime soon, like simply because I feel like I have so much ways to go. But I do have a six pack, right? And I have noticed, and I kind of have arms, and I have noticed that like in the past I could get girls, but now like I get more like IOIs. Like I'm walking down the street and a girl will like be checking me out, or when I take my shirt off, the girl will be like kind of, staring at my abs. So I feel like it definitely makes a difference. I think it also makes you feel more confident because like you're like, fuck yeah, I look good. And that starts like a positive cycle. So you feel confident, you act more confident. Because you're confident, you get better results. That results into you, being more confident. So I just feel like it's a positive cycle.
Right.
It's kind of my take.
Yeah, definitely. I think also back to genetics, like if you're just a naturally good looking guy, it's a lot easier to like get that attention, especially once you start to get in shape, than let's say a guy who's like a solid 2 out of 10 who gets in shape. It's just going to be a little bit different.
Right. But yeah, man, this was an awesome live stream. I know this is for the guys watching this quite different than what we usually get into, but I think this is an important topic, and I think you're doing good work, Kenny. Thank you, man. Truly, I think that if you ever get bored of the fitness industry, you should come in the dating industry and make some roast videos.
I'm always down to like change up the content and like do something fun. So,
dude, you definitely should. All right, so if people want to support your work or follow you, where should they go?
Probably YouTube for the most part. Just YouTube Kenny KO, and then I'm most active on there. I have a couple other channels. Everything stems from YouTube.
Cool. Yeah, we'll link everything in the description below. So if you guys are watching this on repeat, then just check the description for the links.
Perfect. Well, dude, awesome. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, dude, it's great to have you. So for the guys watching this, we have a live stream coming up on Tuesday at 1 p.m. with a female dating coach. It's going to be interesting. She's based out of England, so it's going to be. She's been, she's given numerous TED Talks. It's going to be very interesting what she has to say. We also have a video coming out tomorrow. It's going to be 7 biggest texting mistakes that guys make. So stay tuned for that. All right, awesome, guys. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Kenny. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, man.